little laugh.
That's what I was hearing, Sam and Ella.
So, do Sam and Ella get lost? No, they're purified, they're clean, they become and holy. This is what Christ meant when he said the mortal will become immortal. The mortal is the personality that becomes the I am, the immortal. And it's not that we're becoming something we weren't already. It's just as a personality, we realize it. Each one of us is already the I am, a God slumbering in the personality as a soul. So our aim is only to awaken to this great truth, this great reality. And upon awakening to this I am, we find its characteristics, its divine contemplation. The I am partakes in the divine contemplation too, because it's divine. Prior to that, our personality only partaked in the human contemplation, which is very, very weak compared to the divine. As a personality, we use meditation, concentration, observation to reach that divine contemplation and enter the truth behind all the illusions. Contemplating on all this, one day we will come to the conclusion that we're using the holy supersubstance of mind in the creations of our thoughts and behaviors, good or not so good. Either we're misusing it in a poor way, which brings more of a sense of illusion and separation, brings with suffering, undesirable consequences, material, emotionally, or mentally, or we're using the mind in a constructive way, good way, decreasing our illusion, bringing down the sufferings, which brings us, even as a personality, real freedom. Now look around you. Everywhere in this world, everything is either decaying or growing and evolving. There's no standstill. You look at a tree, it's growing, and it gets to a certain age and it starts decaying. Human bodies, they grow, and they get to an age and decay. But even the word evolving is the wrong idea. It gives the idea that we're becoming something we're not already. I remember Dasko saying that for him, the word evolving means returning back to reason, returning back to our higher nature, and using the mind in the proper way, of course, to achieve the purpose of the divine plan, which is self-realization. That's what he said evolving meant to him. But we will never be able to do that as long as we are worshiping the idol of our egoism. Spending our lives chasing after things egoism wants, pushing away the things the egoism doesn't want. You know, it says, what's it, 10 Commandments, I guess, it says, thou shalt have no other God before me. We did it anyway. We made our egoism that God that we were told not to have another God before. Our bodies are wisely built by the Holy Spirit, but we interfere by egoistic ways of living, which eventually brings illness or accidents. In this way of living, we're not using the mind self-consciously or even consciously. There's a two difference. One thing using it consciously, another thing to use it self-consciously, which means knowing who you are, really are, as you are doing the conscious activity. So using it subconsciously, it doesn't give us much spiritual gain or satisfaction in our life. And we don't have as much satisfaction because we're not experiencing what we really are. We don't really experience what life is. We don't realize that what our life in a body is for. So the result is so much pain, suffering, illness, troubles, misery, suicides, all because of the misuse of mind. This is the source of all these problems. Because we're misusing the mind and creating these thought forms that really harm us. But no one's forcing us to be an illusion. We are all free to use the mind any way we want. So it's we ourselves that are making us suffer. It's we ourselves staying in illusion. No one stops us becoming free. So the way we get free of them, reasonable contemplation. How many people can say here that they're really satisfied with their life as it is now? Yeah, Joe's doing this, you know. And it's true. Everybody says, yes, but there's always a fly in the ointment. There's always some problem, no matter how good you have it. So what's the point of life? People are saying this self-employed. What's the point? Just to live, suffer, die, and repeat again and again? What's the aim of life? What's my purpose in life? Of course there's a purpose in life, into your life. But if we don't make the effort, we're not going to find out or understand it. And all this is what serious religions are offering to people. They're offering their followers a relative to the, let's say how to say it better. This is what they're trying to offer their followers, and it's all relative to the conception of the religious founders' teaching. And the trouble happens is after the religious founder goes away, everyone starts laying their prejudice and dogma on top of these religions, and it becomes just completely different than what it was when he originally started it. But if you scrape all that off and you study the religions, you'll see it, whether it's Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christian. They're all saying the same thing. They all teach there's a supreme being. Maybe not that some Buddhists don't teach that. But they do believe in life itself. So if you don't want to call it God, call it life. Call it absolute life. And they speak of the manifestation of life as all the forms of life around us. As a human being, either a man or woman, we are a manifestation of God. So we must analyze all that, because there's no other way to proceed. It's just not automatically going to happen. And we will understand the manifestation of God or life as the mind infused with the total wisdom and the almightiness. And this is the line from our beginning prayer. God of life, love, and mercy, manifesting yourself in yourself as the total wisdom and the almightiness. And we find that the total wisdom and almightiness in the circles of possibilities governing everything in existence in the material, psychic, and noetical world. We find that everywhere there's a manifestation of life. There is a wisdom and almightiness that govern us. Maybe that sounds lofty, but it's like even in the tiniest ant, there's such power in it. I mean, it can lift 400 times its own weight. The almightiness also keeps that life form in that circle of possibilities as an ant. It doesn't jump and become a grasshopper. Each one are governed and controlled by this almightiness. In the worlds of existence, we have the manifestation of life, of creation in everything. These are the manifested worlds composed of mind. They are manifesting God's total wisdom. But we also have the manifested one, which means a human being, or an archangelic being.
Can you say that again? Can you say that difference?
Yeah, we have the manifestation of life, but we also have the manifested one, which is a human being, or any being, archangelic being, or any being. The bodies of a human being are composed of mind. They are wholly spiritual, but the being itself that's using these bodies is a spirit, a logoic spirit soul. And it's not made of mind. It's a self. It's the selfhood. So it's just this self is using these holy spiritually created bodies for its journeys through the incarnation. But for life to express itself, it has to have these two manifestations. Holy spiritual, that's the manifestation, and the logoic, that's the manifested one. And sometimes ask us, are there any more ways we can understand God between holy spiritual and logoic? He said, no. This is all the human beings do. But he and even other great masters who've reached this level suspect that there might be other ways. It's just not comprehensible by human beings. But these are all we can know. The manifestation of God as Holy Spirit, which gives consciousness, not self-consciousness, and the Logos, which gives self-conscious awareness. But for God to manifest himself in himself, it needs the means to do it, which is the mind again. The mind has to be created so the manifestation can take place. So nothing can exist in the physical world. This is another principle. Nothing can exist in the material world, psychic world, or noetic world that doesn't have a form. Form is a characteristic of life. Even the tiniest bacteria on Earth has a form. Animals have their forms. Human beings have their form. A planet, a sun, a galaxy has a form. This is true for anything in the world's existence. But there's another state beyond existence. This is the realm of beingness, of spirit. Here, solid bodily forms are not needed at all. Not as we understand them. They're not bodily forms. We call it the human form, but it's not really a form as we understand it. But it's not, you can't actually call it shapeless either, because it has a vibration to it, and that defines it. So for something to exist, also, we must have a cause behind it. Nothing comes from nothing. So there must be a cause that manifested it all. To contact that cause behind the manifested form requires us to raise our consciousness to the noetic state, to be able to reach that high, to see it. Now this is the home of the archetypes that we said Plato called the world of the pure ideas. And again, idea means something commonly different than what we commonly use, I have an idea. And the archetypal ideas give rise to the forms that contain the laws, causes, and principles that govern all the forms. Or call it the total wisdom of God, that everything must obey this wisdom. The only thing out here that doesn't obey that is us. But when we don't obey it, we get consequences that makes us start to reason until we do start to obey it. Nothing can escape the almightiness and the total wisdom. It takes a lot of contemplation. This is a very deep one to me, but it takes a lot of contemplation to really go into that and understand it. Any questions on that?
Kind of. So we start off as a holy monad, and then there's a spirit ray that goes and becomes our soul, or us as a soul.
The spirit ray goes through the archetypal idea of the human being, and soul is formed.
Can you show us what is exactly on the symbol of that?
Oh, sure.